Welcome everybody to the second edition of the PIVX Live Roundtable. And we got a very special edition for you guys this week. We're going to be talking with a few experts, a few different people in the crypto industry about proof of work versus proof of stake. We're going to get to the bottom of some things, have some good conversations with some good people. But before that, we're just going to let some people jump in, get in the comment section, let us know where you're from, what your name is. If you dare, leave your Discord name in there as well. We're going to have contests coming to you. Check the Discord in PIVX, in the lounge. PIVX Pixie is going to be dropping in some goods about what you guys got to look forward to. Before the guests join us, we're going to hear from Snappy, and he's going to tell us about some exciting stuff that's going on at the UN next week. And then we're going to move to Furzy. Furzy's going to tell us about the update from the report on the fake stakes and the mitigations that were implemented. And then we're going to move into our feature of this episode, which should be very exciting. We're going to talk to a few different people, and I will give introductions to them shortly. But let's just say we got some good stuff in plan for you today. All right, PIVX Pixie, do we have the contest going?
We should wait for a couple more people to join. Okay.
So the contest, did you let them know?
I let them know, yep.
Okay, so the contest, leave a comment. Somebody in the first, we'll say 5 minutes or so, we're going to pick somebody at random to win. Was it 20 PIV?
20 PIV.
20 PIV, baby. 20 PIV coming at you. Okay. So for those of you who weren't here on the last episode, it was on Valentine's Day. I had some great conversation with Snappy, Rubarbarian, aka Chad, about how far PIVX has come in such a short time, and had some discussions around community and how community can play such a vital role in increasing the exposure of the PIVX brand. A lot of other stuff in there as well. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out now. Actually, not now, after now. Meaning after the end of this broadcast or anytime thereafter. Big news yesterday. For those who did not see, Trezor is officially adding PIVX to the wallet, which means the two largest hardware wallets in the world support PIVX now. So that's pretty cool. There's a new firmware update coming out soon that will enable that PIVX support. So keep an eye out for that. We have two new block explorers. Big shout out to core dev Random Zebra. Holla to our boy or girl, I'm actually not sure, for making that. This new Explorer displays some extra PIVX stats, such as the ZPIV supply for each zero coin accumulator. The links to check it out are explorer.pivx.link or testnet.pivx.link. You can go to the official PIVX Twitter to get those as well. Chock-a-block, right on. You have made a PIVX wallet tutorial video for users on PCs on the entire process of getting the core wallet set up. It can be a little tricky sometimes. Some people have issues. So big shout out to Chock-a-block for making that happen. Their goal is to provide educational how-tos that help newbies understand blockchain and crypto safe practices. Thank you very much. Jabberwockies, guys, this is pretty cool. They're in the final run of their competition, so we want to give a little shout out to them. If you guys don't already know, the Jabberwockies are a competitive robotics team based in Ontario, Canada, with youth age 13 to 18 years old, and proudly sponsored by PIVX. Now, these incredible young students, they work from scratch to design, machine, program, and build 120-pound competition-ready robots in just 6 weeks. That's pretty friggin' amazing. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more, go on the PIVX YouTube channel and check out the video on there talking a little bit more about them. And make sure you check out the donation page. There's a bunch of different things that you can pay for in PIV to help support them. There's a lot of different parts that they need and things that go into building these robots. So please check that out at pivx.org/Jabberwockies. You can see a little bit more on that on the official PIVX Twitter as well. Okay. just see where are we at right now. Okay, so we're at 305. Let's pick a winner. Are we ready to pick a winner?
We don't have many people commenting yet.
Oh no! Oh no!
There's only 2 of them. There's only 2, 3. There's 3 people commenting, so I guess we could.
Well, let's get some more comments in there.
Let's get Snappy on. Who's ready?
Okay, Snap. I know Furzy just joined us. Furzy, just hang on for 2 minutes, my friend. Do we have Snappy with the link? Ready to go?
No problem. Hello.
Okay. Snappy is going to be joining us in just a second, and Snappy is going to be telling us very quickly, in about 2 minutes, because that's all we have, about what's happening at the UN next week. So there's some cool stuff happening there, and some updates around the PIVX Foundation as well. So I think we should be waiting for Snappy any moment now. Maybe we should get started with Furzy, and then we'll come to Snappy after that.
So yeah,
does that work?
That works. He is in the channel, so if you can't see him, let me know.
He needs the specific link that you have, okay. So you got to share that with him. So we're gonna move to Furzy's update because I know it's a little bit later for him.
Okay.
There we go.
Furzy.
Oh, Furzy, we've got you muted. How do we unmute you, brother? There we go.
Can you hear me?
Thank you very much, Furzy, for joining us. Folks, please welcome none other than Mr. Furzy himself, PIVX developer. So we're going to talk a little bit about the fake stakes vulnerabilities and just an overview of the claims that were associated with the University of Illinois report from the Decentralized Systems Lab group in there. Furzy, can you tell us a little bit about what happened with that and what the dev team has done since then?
Yeah, sure. First, hi. Okay, so what the fake stake represented for us and what the fake stake represented for all of the POS blockchains. The first thing is for us, it was basically a DOS attack to a resource exhaustion. So basically a peer in the network and a attacker could attack another node, sending header-wise valid block, but in the sense it was an invalid block, and basically filling up the disk storage and shutting down the node. That is practically basically the whole fake stake report. That is basically all. So once we noticed it about this, it was like 15 hours after the public release, so it was kind of late. But well, we started working professionally. We first checked what were the implications for us, because the report was not targeting us directly, because we have POS and CPOS too, so it was not so easy. So well, and then we jumped to solve things and discover more stuff that needs to be solved. You have any question up until now, or should I get more technical or stuff?
Yeah, no, that's great. I guess the big question to answer right now is there any reason to be concerned about these issues that were pointed out in the report at this point?
Not really. So I now could do the DOS attack right now, because the pull request was already merged on our repository, 2 big pull requests, but still we are not in 3.2. That is basically the release version of those fixes, but anyone can compile the code and run it. But it is mostly a DOS attack. There is no risk of accept invalid block, or there is nothing like that. It is a risk in terms of shut down the node, but not in terms of accept invalid blocks. What else? So, well, we find these, and so with 5 mitigations, basically, to briefly do an overview of those was block spam filter. If that basically, if a node send a certain amount of invalid blocks, it's banned. So then we did a new test suite to basically verify that everything is okay, that there was not a regression. This was basically new for every single blockchain because there were no forks or POS project doing it. So we do what we have to do in that sense. And the suite covered the receive main chain block with an invalid stake input, receive main chain block with an invalid CPOS input. That is that covers the complexity of our system, fork chain state validations, and fork and change TTL on disk that will be in the future. That is basically remove the blocks that were stored on disk that on, how can I say it in not so tuning up, that are higher to the maturity height of the coin. So if the fork is more than 200 blocks old, then it is not valid because it can't be reorganized to the main chain. So well, basically, sorry for the boring technical explanation.
No, that's great. No, we really appreciate you taking the time to jump on and just give us some insight in there. If anybody wants to see the full report, you can do so on the PIVX website, pivx.org, and head over to the blog, and you'll be able to see in depth the 5 different mitigations that were implemented and the details around those as well. Thanks again so much, Furzy, for joining us. Next up, we've got Mr. Snappy himself. I think we've also got a winner at this point for the 20 PIV. So let's go to that. Miss PIVX Pixie, and folks, the reason why you can't hear her, she's actually off camera, not mic'd. So I'm going to just relay what she's saying. Miss PIVX Pixie, who do we have as the winner of our 20 PIV?
Cryptexpedia.
Cryptexpedia. You got yourself 20 PIV. So send PIVX Pixie your wallet on Discord, and we will make sure that we get you that 20 PIV after the show. All right, Snappy, where are you at, my brother? He will be talking to us, and I know soon we should have some of our guests dropping in as well that will be hanging out in the background. I'll actually tell you who some of our guests are today, because it is a great list. Oh, actually, you know what? We got Snappy. Let's bring him on in now. Snappy, how you doing, my man?
What's going on? How you doing, guys? What's
Very
up,
well.
man?
Oh, there he is. Good moment.
Yo, good moment. How you doing?
All right. Well, I haven't told them much, but we do know that there's some stuff going on at the UN next week, and that there's some exciting updates around the PIVX Foundation. Give us the goods, my brother.
I will give you as much as I can disclose. So yeah, next Wednesday, March 6th, I will be honored to represent and be present at the Women Investment and Innovation, Catalyst for a Global Leadership Revolution. It's being held at the UN. This is the 6th annual Power of Collaboration Global Summit that's been at the UN. So it's a super intimate, just really, really incredible event around, well, what does it mean to be in a collaborative environment, and specifically focusing on women investments and innovation. So yeah, it'll be just an incredible event to be part of. Obviously, being able to represent PIVX at that event and talk about the innovations that are present. Be very, very honored to do that. And of course, I'll name drop as well the lovely Kelsey Cole, is going to be exquisitely involved in this event as well. Still awaiting if in person or not. We'll see. That could be pretty cool.
But, in person or in spirit?
Yes, indeed. So, yeah. But it's incredible being able to partner with her in events like this. So yeah, super excited. But it's incredible being able to partner with her in events like this. So I'm getting some feedback. Super excited.
We got Joe Blackburn here. Joe, my man, I just got you on mute briefly while we let Snappy finish up here.
No worries.
So
PIVX Foundation.
More information on the PIVX Foundation.
Yes. So we are currently underway, sort of on the back end, really going through what the PIVX Foundation will be. But in essence, it will be operating as if it is a public charity. So this will be a complete nonprofit entity that its whole organizational scope will be to help support the PIVX ecosystem, and by that I mean not just the PIVX code base, but Pivians around the globe and other people who are supportive of what this vision is. And quite frankly, as we talk about what does it mean to be a Pivian, you can dive into those details, but that's largely what this foundation will be around. So supporting developers, marketers, community endorsements, etc. And everything will be flowing through a charity. So we're really looking forward to rolling out that pretty soon.
So just tell me one thing before I let you go here. What does this ultimately mean for Pivians? What implications does this have, and at least to the extent that you can tell us today?
Yeah, so if we look through what it opens up is it opens up the ability to engage with entities in somewhat of a more legal capacity, right? Like this is not official PIVX because PIVX is a DAO, but there will be a foundation where there will be, I mean, people can donate to this. You'll be able to donate and take a tax deduction, right? And you can donate in crypto. So you could donate PIV, you could donate, Bitcoin, Litecoin, take a tax deduction, and then that can be designated to go to specific things. So if you want to support a specific app, or you want to support a developer or marketing or whatever, you have the ability to direct that as a donor. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Snappy.
My
for
pleasure.
Joining us. And we will look forward to hearing the updates post-UN.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Ciao, everybody.
All right, folks, we're welcoming none other than Mr. Joe Blackburn, the founder of Crypto Coin Trader, one of the largest online communities for cryptocurrency lovers, traders, and whatnot. But he is just a hell of a guy and very passionate about crypto. And we gotta get this man's mic unmuted here. So that he can take it from here, because I'm very excited to have him on this broadcast. Joe, can you see if, unfortunately, it's not giving me the option to unmute you. Maybe you can do it from your end. There we go.
Let's see, did it work?
Yeah, thank you very much. Joe, welcome.
What's up, man? Hey, Snappy, I hate that you jumped off so quick, man. I was gonna rub you a little bit, brother.
Oh, no, we should have kept him on to have a little trio here before we had the rest of the guests join us.
No doubt. Hey, and Angelo, Kelsey, that's one of the best people on earth. Yeah, what's up? I know hopefully she can hear me at least. But Angelo, thanks for having me on. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. I know we got other people about to join on too, but glad I got my moment in the sun at least for what is it, for 5 seconds or so.
Oh yeah, well, it's great to have you, and I know that PIVX is one of your early altcoins, or was it the first after Ethereum? Is that accurate, or am I remembering that wrong?
Yeah, I don't consider Ethereum altcoin. No, Ethereum was definitely my first altcoin per se, right? But I don't really consider more. So PIVX was my first real investment of any substantial, amount of money, or Bitcoin, should I say? And still to this day, I'm so proud that I owned it, and still do own some.
That's amazing. And I remember you doing a post. I feel like time flies so quickly these days. It was probably a year ago at this point.
It does.
Where you had mentioned about PIVX, and I think you had one of the developers on for an interview there. I thought that was pretty cool.
On too.
What's that? Oh, you're cutting out on me. Say that again.
Uh-oh. Snappy was on. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you're back now. Oh, and we got Mr. Alex.
Look who it is.
Oh, look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me introduce none other, one of the founders of VoIP, serial entrepreneur with total exits to the tune of over $3 billion. Now he is the founder of Celsius Network, a new way to earn, borrow, and pay on the blockchain. And also a hell of a guy. Welcome, Mr. Mashinsky.
Angela, you can make me blush, you know?
You know what? But you already got that red tomato tan, so I wouldn't be able to tell.
I'm a red tomato because I had my appendix removed 2 days ago. So I'm on
Oh
paper.
my goodness!
Yes.
Wow, and you took the time out of your day during your recovery. That means a lot.
That's one great way to forget that you just had an operation is keep busy, man. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we really do appreciate you coming. And actually, I just got a message here. Unfortunately, Mr. Zach Daniels from the Mandela Exchange was supposed to join us, and he was rear-ended just on his way home to jump on the computer. So that sucks. And if he does join us, that would be great. But obviously, that's one of those situations where there's no pressure. So Zach, hope everything is all right. So as we're waiting for Luke, actually, I'll just make sure Luke has the, there we go. That was my bad. I didn't actually give Luke
Angela.
the link to join. So while we're waiting for Luke, he's the last one that we're waiting on right now. He is an Ethereum smart contract developer and also the founder of a new currency called Miros. So while we're waiting for him, we'll just give a little introduction into what we're going to talk about and just an idea of kind of what the format is here, which is meant to be very casual, conversational. We're all friends here and just looking to have a great chat about something that is still a prominent discussion in the crypto world. And there we have none other than Mr. Luke Parker joining us. Thank you very much for being here.
Great to be here. Sorry for the lack of mic or lack of camera, but my desktop doesn't have one.
That's okay. You got a cool little graphic there instead.
Old school.
I like it. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be discussing here, format and all that jazz. So proof of work versus proof of stake is probably one of the largest discussions that's ongoing in the crypto world. And what we're going to try to get to the bottom of, is this a either or situation, or is this an and sort of thing? And if so, what are the strengths of each and what is their place in the crypto sphere? So we've got people of all different walks of life here to kind of share their opinions, both on the technical side and beyond that. So, in terms of the format here, everybody, please feel free to jump in if there's something that you want to say, if there's something that you want to contribute, if you want to take this conversation in a different direction, by all means, feel free. I do have some things that I have here that I was thinking that we'd touch on, but by no means are we committed to it. And anybody that is watching in the chat, feel free to leave questions in there if you do have anything that you want to touch on with our panelists here. But let's start with just kind of some high-level stuff, and then we'll dig in a little deeper. But what is the purpose of having a proof of work or a proof of stake algorithm? And what is the intention behind that? What is it meant to do? I'll pass it to either Luke or Mr. Mashinsky on this one to get it kicked off.
Sure, I'm happy to jump in on that. So, before Satoshi, we had probably 20 different experiments in kind of trying to create digital money and something that's fungible across the internet that solves the double spend problem. But really, none of those solutions are provided the right incentives or balanced incentives to everybody in the network. And Satoshi with the Bitcoin really created the first kind of balanced system in which everybody got just the right incentives to participate in the network, to operate the network, and to use the network, right? And proof of work has proven itself over the last 10 years to be a platform that is not hackable, that performs the function of immutable record keeping and performs a function of keeping a very good, tight control of who owns what at any time. Obviously, it has problems. It's very wasteful. It wastes electricity. It wastes communication, and so on and so on. And we are now experimenting with other systems like proof of stake and others. But really, you have to think of it as almost like a thermostat, like a dial, where you and your wife fighting over the temperature, and you say, hey, it's safe at 60 degrees. And she's like, no, I want it at 80 degrees. I want proof of stake, and I want 10 times faster network. And you're like, no, 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 I want to stay in the frigid zone. So the fight is really over how much safety do we want versus how much speed, how much consensus do we want versus how much transactional capabilities and so on. So it's not a binary answer, it's more of a range. And the 200 blockchains that we have out there are all just experiments trying to find just the right dial for everybody. And I don't think there's going to be just one answer. Hey, Joe, by the way, didn't have a chance to say hi.
Yeah, that's well said. And
what's up, Alex?
Yeah. You guys know each other pretty well by now, I imagine, eh?
Yes. Joe was one.
Alex is the hero of mine.
Yes, he was one of our. He found, when you go to the litter and there's like 20 ICOs there, and he picks one and says this one is special. So kudos to Joe for picking us out of a litter and when no one knew who we were.
It's easy right now to get on the show because two of my favorite projects, PIVX and Celsius, are sitting in front of me right now. So it's a great experience to be able to be in the I guess really in my heroes are all around me at the moment, one way or the next.
Now I just want to throw it over to Luke briefly here before we go into talking a little bit more about consensus and some of the the more efficiency related stuff. Luke, can you tell us just a little bit about, from your perspective, what is proof of stake and why bother creating it in the first place?
So, as we covered originally, Satoshi Nakamoto really was the innovation with proof of work, and he's the one who made a decentralized cash system possible. Proof of work was built for email spam originally, if I recall correctly, and he was the one who combined it with the blockchain to provide consensus. And people ended up saying that this mining is taking up too much power. So the solution to it taking up so much power was to get rid of mining. But then the question is, what stops someone from attacking the network? And the supposed solution was force them to buy coins. Because if they have so many coins, they're not going to attack the network because that would devalue their coins. So proof of stake offers a lower power way that's kind of like built into the network because you're using your coins to secure the network.
Oh, that's beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about consensus for a second, because you do hear a lot of discussion online about how, and before I talk a little bit more here, I just want to say I'm not a developer and I'm merely an observer here and just trying to guide the conversation based on the dialogue that exists out there on the subject. But there is some discussion around, and I know it came up in the community as well, the concern around Bitcoin progressively becoming more and more centralized as the ability and the barrier of entry to mining increases for it to be profitable. Is there a better way between the two algorithms in this sense? Do they both have their place? I'm interested to hear what your guys' thoughts are on that.
So proof of stake, I think, is always going to be the faster option just because there's less computation involved. But personally, I feel like proof of work is the more secure choice just because it is decentralized by nature. When you mine a block, you don't get more hardware, but when you mine a block with proof of stake, you do get more coins. And it's closer to mathematics, which I personally like as a very absolute person.
Alex, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so the value of a blockchain is really how long it is, right? I mean, the Bitcoin is 10 years old, and it has every block that's added to it increases the safety of that network, right? So all the other blockchains are really babies compared to the Bitcoin, and basically that's why half of all the crypto assets are stored in the Bitcoin, because it is the safest chain, right? So proof of stake is still an experiment. It's still something that we're dabbling with. And again, I'm a big supporter of it. I don't want anyone to think, oh, this is, Alex is against. We're actually launching 6 proof of stake coins in our wallet in the next 30 days. So I'm a big believer on it, but we are yet to figure out what it is really good for. We know proof of work is excellent for store of value, and we may find out that proof of stake may be good for other things. So right now, the way I'm looking at this is really like a Cambrian explosion when you have this huge level of experimentation going on with thousands of different ICOs and projects experimenting all the different variations, different technologies, different implementations to figure out what is the killer app of these crypto assets or distributed computing or the blockchain, and what's really going to drive this adoption of decentralization, right? Because that's really the holy grail. Is that putting Facebook on the blockchain, or is that just a payment system, or is that just store value? So, again, Bitcoin is 10 years old. We're still experimenting. We haven't solved much, and we may find out that the winning platform is that have not been invented yet. So I think there's still a lot of opportunity for innovation. And what I'm really excited about is that the best minds I know are joining the crypto community every day. They're leaving jobs in Amazon and Google and Microsoft, and they're joining what we're doing every day. And that tells me that we're going to figure it out, and we're going to build something that everybody, our kids, are going to be proud of. So that's why I'm spending all my time in the space.
Well said, Alex.
Take it away, Luke.
I'd just also like to add, if I could, that as we look at currencies which are trying to be instant and feeless, really catering towards either micropayments or day-to-day actions, a lot of them are going to voting, which isn't proof of stake per se, but it's using coins as voting weight, and it can be comparable. And because of the speed of just creating a signature, not needing to go through computations, not waiting for the lottery, if they didn't use voting, they couldn't be instant. So while it isn't the original design behind proof of stake, without proof of stake, we wouldn't have these instant coins that are now coming out.
You also, Alex, you talked about something that I'd love to just briefly expand upon, just in regards to when you mentioned adoption. And this is something that I'd love to get your input on here, Joe, because it seems to me like one of the things I've noticed in the crypto world is the proof of stake coins seem to have a bit of a different appeal or an allure to the average person, you could say. And I'm curious to see, Joe, if you think that that's had an effect in terms of, like, from a community standpoint, because you, as somebody who manages one of the largest crypto communities online, do you think that there is an appeal that exists with proof of stake coins to the average crypto person or crypto holder, if you will, from what you've seen, because of the staking rewards, because of the ability to actually have a more meaningful participation in the network that's
Sure.
rewarding?
Yeah, it's a really good question. First, I'd like to say this, is that, Alex, great points. And Luke, this is our first interaction. Really glad to be on here with you. Sorry for the technical difficulties earlier. I never have them, so it's like, of course, the worst time to do it. But nevertheless, I'll start with this. Proof of stake and proof of work both have a place in crypto, in my opinion. I love being able to explain the intrinsic value behind, like, Bitcoin, right? So, somebody off the street who's never heard of crypto before, they don't understand, and it's hard to conceptualize the idea of what proof of work even is for just anybody. But this is something that's been around for a very long time, just not in crypto. I mean, you go to work and you get paid, right? You put your computer to work, you get paid, you can mine. Proof of stake, guess what? That's been around for a long time too. Go put your money in the bank. I think Alex Mashinsky probably understands. I mean, obviously it's a little bit different, but Alex understands this as good as anybody because he's doing that as a platform one way or the next. But traditional banking implements a proof of stake to an extent, obviously very different in certain areas. But these aren't new concepts to humanity, in other words. So explaining them and breaking them down on a very easy level, even for the average trader or the average holder, whatever they might be, is not hard to do when you put it in perspective of what it's actually accomplishing when you do one or the other. So starting with that foundation and the average holder, the average user, the average crypto coin trader member, I would say even on my level, I am always attracted to proof of stake coins because I love holding. I'm a holder in general. The trader will see something along those lines and they'll call it a budget coin. I'll leave it at that. Something that people are just buying and holding just because it might go up one day. Well, I mean, that's true to an extent. And I don't think anybody is removed from buying a coin and holding it because they want to increase their monetary value in their crypto. But, simply put, it comes down to this. The appeal of proof of stake is that you can make money while doing nothing. And anytime you have something along those lines as a passive income, it's gimmicky in nature sometimes to think of it that way, explaining and correlating it to, hey, this concept's been around for a very long time. It's not just brand new to crypto, just the way it's implemented is new to crypto or is new to you in crypto. And that makes it a little bit more of a transition on a conceptual basis, for them to understand. But anytime you can make passive income just buying something and just leaving it there, that's what people want to do, whether it be real estate, whether it be, putting their money in a bank or an IRA or whatever it might be, or in crypto. So I do feel like the appeal is just, it's human nature almost to this point, or at least it's inherent in us because that's all we hear growing up is this is how you should retire. This is how you should do this or that or the other. Sorry to ramble, but I think that just in general, proof of stake is very appealing because of the ability just to sit there and make money, in theory.
Yeah, it's kind of the crypto equivalent of a dividend in a sense. So yeah, there is definitely that appeal, and as you can see by the PIVX community, it certainly has added to the growth in that respect. Everybody, I think that's a part of and active in the PIVX community would definitely say that it's one of the strong points. And in fact, actually, we did a survey recently where over 30% of people, the top answer, they said the thing that makes PIVX special is the community. Obviously, innovation and tech was ahead of it, but that's the way it should be, right?
Absolutely.
So what I'd love to talk about next, and as I think one of the more contentious aspects in the debate of proof of work against proof of stake is the environmental and the energy requirements of proof of work over proof of stake.
Jump in here.
I just want to share a couple quotes here and just stats that I got. And proof of work is incredibly energy intensive. In fact, Bitcoin mining alone consumed more energy than all of Ireland in 2017, and that was from The Guardian. And if the growth remains constant, Bitcoin mining alone could account for an increase in 2 degrees Celsius in global temperatures within 3 decades. So these are some pretty crazy stats that are hard to ignore. What do you guys think? And specifically, I'd love to hear from Alex and Luke about this. What do you guys think about this? And what are your thoughts from a development standpoint?
Yeah, can you hear me? Because they couldn't hear me before.
Yeah, you're here.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So before I comment on the energy, I just wanted to add one more point, and I agree with both Luke and Joe. I thought this was supposed to be a debate, but looks like we're all on the same page here. But
Alex, I'm coming for you soon. I'm gonna summon my Rubini soon.
Yeah. So the issue with proof of stake is that what everybody is not saying, the elephant in the room, is that if the coin drops 50 or 60%, then you're making a yield of, like with Dash, whatever, I don't know, 7% or 8% on Dash, but your underlying asset dropped by 60 or 70% or more, then you haven't really earned anything, right? So the piece that we must have to eliminate this volatility is a real use case, a real world use case. And that's what we are grappling with, right? I mean, we are not, we're all hoping for one, we're all experimenting with different ones, but we don't have a use case. And the reason we don't have a use case is because the community is just too small. Imagine the VoIP community if only 20 million people used it all over the world instead of 3.5 billion like we have. So for me, and I've been preaching this for several years now, right, is the gospel is all about mass adoption. And I know people saying, oh, Alex, we've heard this mass adoption story so many times, we're tired of listening to it. But without mass adoption, there is no use case, and without no use case, there is no stability, and without stability, it doesn't matter if it's proof of stake or proof of work, we're not going to get anywhere. So I just want to raise that, because unless all of us work together to get mass adoption and bring more people into crypto and solve all the issues that have to do with bringing all these people in, all the other stuff, we can solve the energy issues, and we can solve the quantum computing issues, and we can solve all the other things we can talk about today. That's not going to solve the issue of instability of coins, right? So back to, Angelo, back to your questions about energy. I agree with you. Ireland obviously is a big country with a lot of people. Another way of comparing it is all the solar power in the world, right? So Bitcoin plus Ethereum right now, I think, are consuming more than all the solar panels producing around the planet. It took us 50 years to put all these solar panels out there. So obviously that is not a scalable solution. We cannot scale our way into cryptocurrencies dominating the planet if just 30 million users are already consuming 2.5% of all the power on the planet. So we must come up with other more efficient implementations. Again, proof of stake is a great idea, but it has not yet proven itself. So we need to really show that it's stable, that it's scalable, and it's hack-proof. Because if somebody hacks it, all the value in that network disappears. Unlike most other systems, if you hack a blockchain, no one trusts anyone, which means that those coins are worth zero.
Luke, do you want to counter that at all, or do you have anything to add to that?
Definitely. So I think with power, I agree that even though a fraction of the Earth is using this much power, that there are concerns when more and more people adopt crypto. But I also think we have to consider how many cryptocurrencies we have. Right now, we're talking about hundreds to thousands, and maybe only 150 with, let's say, large active communities. I mean, of course, large and active is a very loose definition. I'm sure you can go on Discords where 3,000 people are over the same 10 Discords. But I think as we reach those adoption levels, we're truly going to be down to less than 5. So if we're down to less than 5 peer-to-peer networks handling these use cases, because I feel a lot of them will be on a singular smart contract platform. I'm not going to shout Ethereum or Ethereum Classic or some second layer for Bitcoin. I'm just going to say a smart contract platform. I think when we condense down to that 5, as ASICs get more and more popular for all those coins that use ASICs, I do think the power is going to be manageable. And I do think that really the greater question is, how do we produce clean power in the first place? Because we're discussing cryptocurrencies effect, but even if we removed cryptocurrencies, we'd still have cars, planes, regular computers, server farms. And just because we solve the cryptocurrency end of it doesn't mean we'd solve those problems. So why should we blame cryptocurrency when we should blame the power plants and solve all these problems at once?
Well, so let me jump here and disagree a little bit, because the problem we're having, it's not about one blockchain or 100 blockchains, right? Because if everybody on the planet is running on one blockchain, there's not enough electricity right now on this planet to supply all of the computing power and processing power that you need for one blockchain. The issue is, what is the mechanism? Again, the more distributed and a broader consensus that you are designing the protocol, the more nodes you need, and the more processing power, and the more consensus you need, and that's what's eating up all the electricity, right? So it's a fundamental flaw in the proof of work mechanism. Obviously, proof of stake is a much more efficient mechanism, but it also has some downsides. So we need to kind of win this trustless protocol idea. Again, I'm only positive of this. I don't want anyone to think, oh, Alex is poo-pooing this or that. I don't have a solution. If I had one, I would be writing the code and releasing it to the community tomorrow. I'm thinking about this stuff every day. But if we want 7 billion people on this planet to join decentralization and use their transactions in a trustless network, bypassing all the toll collectors of the banks and so on, we need a mechanism that both scales and provides this consensus. And I think we haven't found the balance there yet.
Can I step? Go ahead, Luke. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. I was going to say, I think every great achievement of man since the 1800s has required some amount of power, whether it be on a global scale like Bitcoin, or whether it just be the amount of power it takes to propel a rocket to the moon. And I think every single time we've managed to overcome it. And as humanity grows, not just on this planet, but into the edges of the solar system, we're always going to need more power. So I think Bitcoin might just be the first example of this problem we have. And I truly think the future is in more solar plants, more hydroelectric plants, more nuclear plants. Because again, I truly think that even if we got rid of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for now, as in the power hungry mechanisms, we're still going to have more power use in the future. And we'd still have things that aren't using clean power. So I think we need to say, let's not be completely wasteful with cryptocurrency. Proof of work may be more wasteful than it needs to be, but of course you could offset that with verifiable delay functions and so on. But cryptocurrency isn't the primary person at fault here, or the primary person at fault. If someone else wants to step in. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Alex, first off, you know how much I respect you. And I know when you have a point or when you make a statement about something, it comes with not just, you know, like your feelings or your emotions. It's literally coming from an expertise point of view, especially on something along those lines. So don't be too harsh on me when I say this. And Luke, I tend to agree with you on what you just said. Necessity is what's going to bring us into the next, you know, big movement into really renewable energy. How much energy is wasted every day? And I'm not talking about how long did you leave your light on. I'm talking about how many solar panels don't exist for the sun to come down and hit, because we haven't adopted solar panels yet to an extent where everybody's got it. The sun has more power than we'll ever be able to harness, ever. You know, and if we run out, we're going to end up sending satellites into space and be able to harness the energy from space. And I mean, like, every direction that the sun points in is one way or next, you know, it's an attainable source of energy that we're able to bring back to Earth. So I believe that the amount of power available is never going to be an issue. It just might temporarily be an issue. But on that same note, and Alex, you might crush me on this when I say this, but I don't think it's bad that Bitcoin costs so much, or not just Bitcoin, but proof of stake, proof of work, all this stuff. I don't think it's bad it costs this much. We need something to fall back on that is the intrinsic value. There needs to be some value. It costs money to produce a Bitcoin. It does. It's plain and simple. It is hard to produce a Bitcoin because it's getting more and more expensive. It's only going to get harder, and it's only going to get more expensive as time goes on. I think we probably all agree with that. I don't think it's even debatable. But with that being said, it makes it harder to do, which makes it more rare, which makes it more valuable. I think having that base of at least it costs something to do will always maintain its value. Otherwise, miners wouldn't mind, right? If everybody, go ahead.
Look, it's a good point, but the issue is scale. If the more expensive the Bitcoin is, the more valuable the network is, and it's only good for less things, not for more things. You see again, I'm a technologist, right? I have 50 patents. I wrote patents about electrical grid distribution and trading. Okay, you can look them up, 2000, dated 2000. So I understand how the grid works. I understand how the internet works. I understand how the protocols work. And I can tell you that, again, what a lot of people are missing is that the blockchain is the opposite of TCP/IP, right? TCP/IP runs faster and faster the more nodes you add to the network. The blockchain runs slower and slower the more nodes you add to the network. Right, so it requires more and more electricity. So this is not about, okay, taking solar panels from 20% efficiency to 30% efficiency, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking an order of magnitude more power than what we're producing today. So forget about what all the electrical cars need and what we need for our homes and so on. You want everybody to transact on the blockchain, especially on the Bitcoin protocol. You're going to need an order of magnitude more electricity, and that's not something that anyone has a solution for. So this is not. I'm all for finding new ways of creating electricity, and believe me, I understand how nuclear fusion works and why we have energy from the sun and all that stuff. But we are decades away from being able to harness that in any meaningful way and use it for wasteful things like the blockchain. So all of this, I'm trying to say something very simple. The more difficult it is to mine something, the more difficult the blockchain is, the fewer are the use cases. Meaning you will be able to do less and less and less with the Bitcoin because it's going to be good for only very, very few things. And that's what we're finding today. We found out that the Bitcoin is not really so good for payments. the Bitcoin is not really so good for many other things. It's only good for store of value, right? So and this is after 10 years of experimentation. So the challenge here is that, yes, we want decentralization to win. Yes, we want proof of stake and proof of work to find use cases, but we also have to be realistic on the other side that if we don't take kind of realistic implementations and we don't find solutions that allow us to scale, we're going to be stuck in that niche of just being like digital gold, which obviously has not worked extremely well for many people, right? We just had this big run up. We 20 million anarchists joined, 20 million speculators joined us, and they all left, right? They all went back from crypto land to fiat land. So what did we do? We just recycled 20 million people through the Bitcoin, and we lost them. We don't want that to happen. It's extremely difficult to bring these people in, and we want to make sure that we bring them in for an application that helps them with their life or with their savings or with something else that they're doing. And right now, I'm not seeing enough of that to create a real heavy use case that will bring 1 billion people into this community.
Well, that's one of the purposes of proof of stake, is having in the proof of stake blockchains. Is it not true that more nodes equals faster transactions, and that's one of the benefits of it? Luke or Alex, you guys want to jump in on that?
I'm not a complete expert on proof of stake outside of the theory, but as far as I was concerned, more people just means more people to potentially produce a block, and block propagation remains the same. And the size limits of the block, I mean, a larger block will take longer to go over the network, so I don't personally believe that's true. I haven't seen any evidence of that, but I could totally be wrong here. Sorry.
Yeah, look, proof of stake is not one implementation, right? Almost every blockchain has its own implementation, a little bit different implementation. So again, we're experimenting with what works best. But again, the number of blocks is finite. It's just how many people are competing with this, competing on that, on executing the next block, right? And here the incentives are just distributed differently, right? Instead of proof of work, they're distributed based on who has what rights and how many nodes and how many coins on each node and so on. And again, Dash is different than the Neo is different than everybody else. So, but again, I'm not sure it's about just the two answers are not just proof of work or proof of stake. My point is that I think that, you know, I was asked this question many times, and my answer is always the same. The winning blockchain is not something we've seen yet. Because I don't think we've solved all the issues. I mean,
sure.
And all we're finding out is what are the issues. We found out what the issues with Bitcoin. Now we're finding out what the issues are with some of the other. And look, for example, the Ethereum network works great. Look at JP Morgan. They copied Ethereum. They called it Chrome or whatever, and they're running it as a private blockchain. They're running it as an intranet, basically, and it works perfectly for them, right? So it doesn't mean it's a dead end. It just means that the implementation may be used differently by different organizations in different ways. But I'm only focused on that mass adoption, 7 billion people using the same thing at the same time, which we managed to do with the internet, right? And again, VoIP is, which I was involved in creating, is one of the largest distributed applications on the internet today. Still, there's nothing, I don't know anything that's bigger than that, that's real in lifetime. It's what we're using right now, right?
Exactly.
It would be on every part of the planet, and it would still work. So we need something similar that moves value and that does not burn up the whole planet to a crisp.
I've got something I want to add on to that. Just like you said, Alex, earlier when you first started on the first statement you made, is that right now we're seeing people coming in from Google, from Amazon, from Facebook, from other places that are stepping into roles in blockchain or working with those companies for their blockchain projects. As in, Facebook's got a lot of rumors right now going on. I see what we're adding some of the most creative and brilliant minds that are aware of power and issues that come along with the scalability that are right now. And I see, as humans, we've always overcome. One way or the next, we continue to move, or we sidestep it and we go around it. One way or the next, we'll find a way. And so, although I agree that there has to be addressed and there has to be a solution, and maybe we are technically decades away, as you said, and I've got to take your word for what I know it is, and that's of an expertise opinion. But yeah, I still look at it like this: is, I'm not afraid of the idea that Bitcoin is a store of value like gold. I'm not afraid of the fact that people, have watched Bitcoin go up and down, because for the most part, we're talking about a lot of Western companies Western individuals, that have stepped in, tried to take a speculative investment in Bitcoin, bought it really high, waited until it got to a certain point, was safe, and then all of a sudden, boom, we crashed. But what about the rest of the world? 20 million people is just a blip on the map. Of course, we don't want them to go tell their friends that, hey, this is a scam, blah, blah, blah. But I do believe, when you're talking about sub-Saharan Africa or, Venezuela, for instance, at the moment, these are people that are seeing real use cases for what the blockchain has. And a store of value gives us a reason to exist. If something does cost a lot, if it's rare, if it's hard to get, then it's going to maintain its value. And whether or not Bitcoin is that, that methods of transfer, to me, it doesn't matter, because something will come along that will be. We just need something to give it credence. We need something to give it the credibility it needs on a large scale. And Bitcoin, to me, is that exact answer, is that we have a store value. We will continue to have a store value, because there's enough people that recognize it as not just, hard to get, but it's hard to mine. Like it's hard to go and find. It's expensive. It's something that is not easily attainable. It makes it rare, and there's enough people value it as such that we'll always have that base. So that foundation, to me, is what's going to propel, whether it already exists today, it could be PIVX, right? And so we're looking at something that might be the next future currency that's used worldwide because of how fast it is. What does PIVX stand for? Private, instant, verified transactions, and I mean, it's private and it's instant. I mean, what else do you need when you're transferring money, right? So using that, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I agree that for a store value to be successful and not fluctuating, it has to have mass adoption. But one of the issues with a store value, like Bitcoin becoming a currency, is generally the design goals of a currency are at odds with the design goals of a proof of a store value token. So with Bitcoin, it's a store value. It has fees. It has 10-minute block times. It's not something you'd use to buy your coffee. People are working on the Lightning Network to make it usable as a currency. But the Lightning Network is still a struggle to use and something we're still seeing adoption on and so on. With PIVX, yes, you have instant send, but that's going through the masternode network. And the question becomes, well, honestly, no, I'm not going to say the masternode network could be attacked. I don't think either Dash or PIVX has ever had that happen, even though it's a theoretical concern. So I'm not going to go there. But I just feel that if we look at Nano, I don't know if you guys have heard about Nano, but it's a DAG cryptocurrency, instant feeless. And one of the claims is eco-friendly, which is kind of something we were just talking about, because it's just voting, it's just signing. It doesn't have any proof of work except for a spam filter. But the issue with it is they don't reward nodes at all for verifying transactions. So because of that, representatives have no incentive to upgrade their hardware. And because representatives must keep the entire network and vote on every transaction so they know what's going on, that creates a bottleneck. Because even though everyone else can run light clients, representatives can't. And because representatives have no incentive to upgrade their hardware, so even though there's a fixed supply, there's no coins being created to reward people. And there's also some security issues involved because it's all done via voting. If you try to download the network right now, you will use the original set of representatives because you don't know who the current representatives are. So, of course, that's a singular cryptocurrency, and there's a lot of work being done in the field. I'm personally working in that. But generally, when you try to design a currency and you keep store of value aspects in mind, you create a half and half that's bad in both areas.
Well, so let's put these things in buckets, right? So we have digital currencies. The dollar is a digital currency. The pound is a digital currency. The yen is a digital currency. and those are all inflationary currencies. By design, they are designed to decrease in value between 2 and 5% per year, right? Then you have another bucket called cryptocurrencies. By design, they're not designed to be stable. So the Bitcoin appreciated 99% against the dollar in the last 10 years by design. The dollar lost 99% of its value against the Bitcoin by design. And I'm talking about after this collapse that we just had. So, and then you have a third set, which is the stable coins, which are pegged to this or that currency or this or that commodity, right? And then you have a fourth set, which is the NFTs, the non-fungible tokens, which are trying to create value or store value by being pegged to something that is unique asset that could be valued by everybody out there. So as far as I know, these are the only 4 different implementations, and these are the implementations that are competing with each other on the killer app, right? The first application to have the killer app will get the scale and will also by default will become the store of value in the payment system. So my point is that it's not necessarily, again, it could be the JP Morgan coin, which is obviously not a cryptocurrency, not an open public blockchain implementation, but if it gets the scale and everybody uses it and everybody relies on it, and then it will become the store of value, it will become the payment network, it will become all the other things. So that's what we're competing against. So,
all right, folks. Well, we're just coming up to the end of the hour here. So before we wrap up, I have just one more question for the panelists here, just to sum things up. But I do have one little contest for everybody that's still watching. Please leave a comment in the YouTube chat there. Let us know what the most memorable part of this discussion was, or what you'd like to see in future discussions. And by the end of this broadcast, we're going to choose a winner. And for the people that are on our panel, I just wanted to kind of sum up what we were just discussing there. It seemed like we were reaching, no pun intended, a bit of a consensus. Maybe I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth, but does it seem like there is a solid use case for proof of work being more in the way of store of value and proof of stake, potentially also serving that same purpose, but being able to do the transactional currency type role and fulfilling that in a better, more meaningful way? There we go.
Sorry,
Luke, go ahead.
Well, I don't want to interrupt, but okay. I would personally be looking at more for hybrid, because as we were talking, the only way we're really getting instant transactions is if we remove blocks. If we remove blocks and go to the DAG, then we're really looking at voting via signing, which is similar to proof of stake. You could call voting a version of proof of stake. But my issue with proof of stake is mainly the centralization aspect. The people who have power get more power. And of course, that can be done with proof of work with PIVX too. But really, my interest would be more in proof of stake voting on a DAG via proof of work generated stake. So you have to use your CPU, not an ASIC, of course, to prove you should be contributing to the network. And then all you have to do is sign a transaction. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, I guess. It's something I've been working on for a while. But I would agree with that general statement if we're not allowed hybrid algorithms. Yeah, and just in terms of also, the progressive lack of decentralization that we could say as the barrier to entry for mining and having it be more profitable, or reaching a feasible line of profitability. Is it fair to say that is something that is it will work against decentralization as the future progresses on?
Well, so today's models are all based on the degree of difficulty of resolving that mathematical problem for each block, right? And that we keep raising the degree of difficulty as a medium to create consensus and everything else. And in my view, the future winning blockchain is going to be focused on the degree of participation, not the degree of the complexity. Meaning, the broader the community, the lower the chances that you can fool everybody about the balance or about this or that. So what I'm working on is our algorithms and protocols that are trying to create consensus through this broad participation and give people incentives for participating. And you can do that on a really simple CPU. You don't need the fastest ASICs running on dedicated machines and in a data farm, running on whatever hydroelectric power sources, right? So that creates very broad distribution, and it allows that balance of consensus and broad distribution to optimize all of these things that we just talked about. So I don't have all the answers yet, but this is I'm just sharing you with my thoughts. And I think, again, proof of stake is definitely a step forward, and we need to see what works there and what's not, and creating a hybrid, and maybe, again, creating tiered participation where you have maybe an underlying, like layer 1, that is the proof of work, and then you have a layer 2 or layer 3, which gives you that proof of stake plus other type of implementations like I talked about. And then the application layer, layer 7, is really all about the participation, consensus, and a handshake between millions of participants saying, yes, we all agree that this network is doing the right stuff and is acting in the best interest of the community, and so on. So that's kind of like the vision of where I see this evolving in the next 10 years.
All right, that's all we have time for today. And I just want to thank our panelists, Mr. Alex Mashinsky, Mr. Joe Blackburn, and Luke. I apologize. Crap. Luke, I don't.
Just end it with Luke.
Was it Wilson?
Parker.
Parker.
Hey, he was just joking. He knew.
I was so prepared and I screwed that part up. Terrible, terrible ending. But I do have some redemption in the form of 20 PIV. And the winner is
Luke Wilson.
Hannah, who is actually the official translator for PIVX, does a lot of great work for the community, and is, well, not quite single-handedly. I think she does have some other friends, but is an incredible person that is responsible for ensuring that people can receive PIVX's messages in many different languages, which is actually a staggering number. I think it's in the double digits. So kudos to Hannah. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to our guests, and we will see you in 2 weeks here again, Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the PIVX Roundtable, Episode 2. Goodbye.